Been live from Erin Hills. It's on the tee. I'm Gabe Neitzel. Thanks for being along with us. Going to be talking. I had a chance to catch up with Stephen Watson earlier today because he was out here earlier today at Erin Hills to kind of recap the morning wave where Nelly Korda shot 5 under par, 67 to get herself right back into this tournament. Where Mao Saigao was able to shoot a tournament best 66 so far as she has a 2-shot lead. But the wins never really came this afternoon. So Maya Stark, Alim Kim, Hinako Shibuno, Rio Takada, some of these other women who shot 4 under par yesterday, right back in it. Sarah Schmelzel having a great round out on the golf course right now. We're going to recap all of that and everything else that happened, especially later in the day, in just a little bit. But as I mentioned, I caught up with my On the Tee co-host Stephen Watson earlier today, and here were Stephen's thoughts on Nelly Korda and the group that he followed this morning. Stephen Watson was out here earlier today at Erin Hills, and just full disclosure, we are recording this before the first round is over. But that first wave is pretty much done. The second wave teeing off right now, and even though the winds, Stephen, it doesn't look like they're going to come in the way they were initially anticipated. Potentially gusts up to 30 miles per hour. Sustained winds in the 15 to 20 area. I mean, looks like maybe the winds will be between 10 and 15, and gusts, a little above 20, potentially around 3-4 o'clock this afternoon. But those players who went out in the early wave this morning had great scoring conditions. They needed to take advantage, and 2 players did. Nelly Korda, and she stepped up and, shooting 67, which would have been the round of the tournament so far, if not for Mao Saigao, who is looking for her second consecutive major. She shot the round of the day so far, 66 for her to take the lead that she currently has.
Yeah, good firing from both of them. I mean, Saigo has kind of burst onto the scene this year. She won the Chevron earlier, and now she's looking for the Saigo Slam, to start off 2025. Yeah. Move over.
You were in on Rory winning 3. Yeah, you're looking for Rory, and here comes Mao Saigao. We had to be paying attention over the women's side.
Yeah, my pick to click to start off this tournament was Lydia Ko completing her Grand Slam, and we're talking Saigo Slam maybe by the end of 2025, thanks to her performance. I mean, both of them making 7 birdies today. Really impressive stuff from both of them. It really was good scoreable conditions this morning for the group. Probably the best weather we've seen so far at Erin Hills from a scoring standpoint. The people who teed off in the afternoon yesterday and then got the morning wave today certainly have had the advantage at Erin Hills so far through 2 rounds. Certainly the best way for them to attack this course was this morning. The wind was not moving too much, Gabe, and that's a different case for those teeing off in the afternoon today.
Well, you got to you walked a few holes alongside Nelly Korda. How did she look?
She was better on the greens than she was yesterday. I mean, her ball striking is always good. But she
the driver might be putts.
Better. Yeah. And the thing about Erin is, like, if you're putting poorly, it's on you. It's not on the grass. Because those greens are always incredible. And, they were rolling to a 13 for the morning session yesterday, down to about a 12 and a half by the afternoon. And I think it was right back up to that 12 and a half to 13 this morning. So, they're in great conditions. And gosh, if Nelly could make a couple of putts, she'd be running away with this thing right now, Gabe. I mean, she's put herself in position to make a lot of birdies. She made 7 birdies today, and probably could have walked away with a 63 round today if she actually got the putter going.
Yeah, which is crazy to say because she made 7 birdies. But it was the same thing yesterday, Stephen. She was 102nd in the field in putting yesterday. Yeah. Had the 1 birdie where she got up and down on 18, hit a really good chip shot to put her in a spot to make the only birdie for her for the day to shoot even par yesterday afternoon. But her putter let her down yesterday. And again, as crazy as it sounds, despite making the 7 birdies today, the 2 bogeys she made were on 3 putts. And the one she had on 15,
oh my goodness.
That was inexplicable. I know the pin was tucked in a weird spot today, but that was, I don't know what happened on the par putt, because she didn't run it that far past. Enough where, again, U.S. Open conditions, you got to pay attention to it, but it was just a straight push. Like, that putter has really let her down throughout the first 2 days, and yet here she is in second place after the morning wave on day 2.
Yeah, and something that's important to note about Nelly's round in particular is she teed off the back. So Credit to her after what happened on 15. Like things could have gone sideways when you three putt within 10 feet on one of the toughest holes out here. You're thinking birdie and you make bogey. I mean, that can swing momentum quickly out on this golf course. And to Nellie's credit, she came back out after 15. She went par and she birdied 17. 17 is playing as one of the toughest holes on property this week because they've stretched out that 17th hole. It was playing 442 today. And it was actually downwind today for the morning group. I know the wind tends to change in the afternoon at Erin Hills, but playing 17, 18 downwind was certainly an advantage for the morning group. And, she was able to go out there and make birdie on 17, which really was kind of her way to get back into this round. And then she goes on and makes 4 more birdies on the front in her second 9 of the day.
And what was impressive to me about the 66 and 67 that Saigo and Korda shot. So yesterday, the low round, we had 5 players sitting there at 4 under par of 68. The other low round this morning was only 69. So those two went out and they separated themselves from everybody else who also was in a pretty good wave. Now, again, we don't know what the wind's going to do this afternoon. And I'm sure I'm going to talk about that in the rest of this show once we get back live. But I'm really curious how much that wind, because if the wind doesn't blow, then really there was no advantage because the wind didn't blow yesterday. If it doesn't pick up this afternoon, then we're just unlucky at Erin Hills with the lack of wind, despite being the windiest spring ever here in the state of Wisconsin. But if the wind blows this afternoon a little bit, that's where some of these other players that were sitting there at 4 under par, Alim Kim, Jinhee Lee, Yalami No, players like that shot 68 yesterday, if they can't keep pace, that's where then you see the disparity between the two waves.
Yeah, and it's just kind of one of those things that you can't predict what the weather's going to be in morning versus afternoon. Sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good when it comes to which part of the wave that you're on. And I think the Nelly Korda group is happy with how it got drawn up for them this week. I mean, Gabe, we talk about the wind, we talk about the potential rain in the forecast to end this second round, but we probably should be talking about these forest fires that are causing, total darkness on the course right now. It's actually something. It's going to be something that's going to play a factor, unfortunately, for the rest of this tournament. Definitely for the rest of today. Think about that. The people who are finishing at the end of today, they're not only dealing with wind, rain, but also darkness. Now with these forest fires that have created this cloud of smoke over Erin Hills and over Wisconsin, and that's something that on these greens. When you talk about breaks, you need every visual you can get. And that's going to be something to monitor for the rest of this championship as well. It's unfortunate that it's happening, especially for the folks at Erin Hills that have worked so hard in the USGA to put on this great championship, something like this, so completely out of their control to play a factor. But it's something that is going to be part of the storyline of this championship now.
I was pleasantly surprised with the way it was attended yesterday. What were the crowds like when you were out this morning? Because when I pulled in this afternoon, Stephen, it almost seemed like there were double amount of the cars. They started moving cars and had, as you're pulling in, there's a single 2-lane road that you drive into Erin Hills on. I mean, there were cars on the right and left today as I was pulling in just a little afternoon.
I'll tell you what, Gabe, that was my biggest impression from this morning was people have showed up. It's really cool to see. I mean, we're talking 10, 15 people deep with that Korda, Charlie, and Lexi group. That was really special to see. It's great for the game. It's great for Wisconsin. It's never a doubt that sports fans of Wisconsin are going to show up. But I saw people from all over the world out there today speaking different languages. That's what makes this major so cool, is to just kind of see the spotlight shine on Erin Hills. And it's a credit to the championship. It's a credit to the golf course, to that pairing in particular. And I think it's going to set up for a really fun fan environment over the weekend, because I know we can't control this smoke going on right now, but it does look like the weather is going to be a little bit calmer over the weekend and a little bit of sunshine as much as we can see through.
So you followed them for a few holes. Did you post it? Because I posted up yesterday on 9, especially because the balls was coming in from a little bit of a different angle than I'm used to seeing. T-box all the way over on the right-hand side, pretty close to 8 green, the closest I've ever seen it to 8 green. And I know that T-box is there, but when we played out here, Stephen, you just walk right past it as you walk to the T-boxes on the left. I think this weekend I've heard that they're going to potentially move up 15, so that becomes a drivable par 4. That was one of my favorite
we got to
things
do
to
it at
do.
least one day. Got to do it at least one
Yeah,
day.
when the tee box was moved up on Saturday in 2017, and that's what my dad and I spent a lot of time sitting out there. What else did you get to see today here at the golf course in Erin Hills?
Yeah, I mean, I really focused on the Nelly group. I got on property for their second shots on 17, watched her make her birdie on 17, and then walk up 18 with all of them. It was kind of stress-free par for Nelly on 18, and then make the turn, make the birdie at 1. 2, she made a tough bogey there on the second hole. And then, yeah, I mean, she went birdie, par, birdie on 4 through 7. Like that's a good stretch for the scoreable holes really on this property. And to make 3 on 6, I think most golfers would take that.
Tough hole today.
Yeah, with how long it was playing over 180 yards today up that hill, which really feels like 200 when you play number 6. So I think everybody, when you come into a championship like this, you want to see the best players in the world shine, and I think we're starting to see the cream rise to the top right now, and excited to see what names are there come the weekend set. But man, if you're coming to Erin Hills or you're watching and you know this property and you're excited to see the best players in the world take on Erin Hills, like it's pretty fun to see number 1 in the world up there on the top of a leaderboard at this point headed into the weekend. It certainly sets up for a fun finish.
All right, Stephen, hopefully we talk to you again later this weekend as we continue our special coverage of the 80th U.S. Women's Open here at Erin Hills.
Yeah, love being a part of it. Stay dry out there, Gabe.
I mean, it's only raining now. Hopefully the rain holds off when I'm doing the show again later.
I hope so for your sake as well. You should have come to the morning wave with me. Stop working so hard.
Hoping to hear a little more from Stephen as the weekend progresses. Again, after we're done here on YouTube tonight, we'll have preview shows coming your way on both our YouTube channel and 94.5 ESPN from 9 to 10 a.m. both Saturday and Sunday. Should be hearing from Stephen during those. But scoring today, we talked about it a little bit there. I think everybody was kind of hoping the wind would pick up. It is up now. The sun was out for just a little bit. Now this overcast and a little bit of the haze from the wildfire smoke coming down from Canada has settled in once again, but this wind has picked up. Didn't really pick up when they thought, and didn't affect a lot of rounds early, like Sarah Schmelzel went out, and she was 5 under par on her first 9, which was the back 9. And now she's, been holding it together. A lot of pars. Did make a bogey on number 7 as she sits at 5 under par. Hinako Shibuno just made a bogey on 18, so she dropped from 6 down to 5 under par as well. So A-Lim Kim with a birdie on 14 is in solo second place, and she's still out on the golf course right now. 2 under par for today, 6 under par for the tournament, 2 shots back of Mao Saigo, who is currently the leader at 8 under par. So with the windy conditions, again, picking up now, the scoring is started to go back up just a little bit. But for the most part today, scoring was down. Yesterday, the front was almost 38 strokes. The back was 36.3. 74.090 was the course average yesterday, and that is starting to slowly tick back up as this round has progressed. Still lower than yesterday. Right now, round average is 73.66, so just a little under a half stroke easier today than it was yesterday, and the tough holes kind of flipped. Today, different angle over on number 9. It was only the 9th easiest hole after being the toughest hole yesterday. Talked about all the double bogeys I saw sitting on number 9. And the tough part about that was number 8 was the second hardest hole yesterday. Today it's just the 13th. Toughest hole today is 17. Beast of a hole, 442 yards today, playing just about a quarter stroke over par throughout the course of the day. Second hardest hole, and this was no shock if you were watching any of the television coverage, number 6, because a lot, even with the wind down, the little wind that did exist was blowing down wind on number 6, and playing 181. A lot of these ladies just did not have the spin, be able to hold the green. A lot would run out. Nelly Korda hit her short. He made a fabulous up and down to save her par on that hole, but not shocking the way that number 6 was playing today. A little bit longer at 181 yards, as that was the second toughest hole so far, although those numbers can change because there are still some players out on the course right now. If you are planning on coming out Saturday, Sunday, the haze that we have had to deal with, and if you were in Milwaukee, I know you had to deal with it as well. The National Weather Service alert ends at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and it's just kind of a wait and see. And with the lack of wind that is forecasted, don't know if that's going to hang around or if it's going to blow through. Hopefully, not a lot of wind forecasted. Should be beautiful blue skies, should be beautiful weather coming down the stretch at the U.S. Women's Open here at Erin Hills. But just a little unfortunate for our friends at Erin Hills. We talk about it a ton, still 8 years later, that the wind never really blew except for a little bit on Sunday. But by that time, the scores had really gone low, and Erin Hills got a little bit of a bad reputation, I think, because of that. So hoping that for the Women's Open, the wind would pick up, especially, I saw an article earlier this spring saying it was the second windiest March, in Wisconsin since like 1940, and it's been a windy spring, but the winds have been down except for the last, maybe hour or so here out at Erin Hills, as it's picked up just a little bit. You can see some of those USGA and US Open flags blowing on the driving range behind me. So it has been picking up, and it's made these players who are out on the golf course, sweat it out a little bit as they continue to come down the stretch and play some of those tougher holes. Somebody like Sarah Schmelzel, who was able to close out her round with a par on number 3. So she is now going to head into the weekend at 5 under par. But we mentioned that Hinako Shibuno making a bogey on 18. 17, 18 have been some of the tougher holes today. 8 and 9, as we mentioned, the toughest holes yesterday. So no matter what side of the golf course you're on, got to make sure you're paying attention with this wind picking up just a little bit. But if you're unfamiliar with some of these names at the top of the leaderboard, take a little bit of a closer look and see how they've been playing. Try to figure out if what they've been doing is going to be sustainable potentially into the weekend. And we begin with Mao Saigo, who has again played a brilliant round today. Was out there when the winds were down, shot a course best 66, a tournament best. I shouldn't say course best, tournament best 66 so far today, and nobody's going to match that. So she shot a 66 to get her 8 under par into the weekend. And she has been doing it with her putting and her approach play, as she is ranked 4th in putting through the first 2 rounds right now. And actually that has gone up to, she's now 3rd in putting, and her approach play has been spectacular. She is number 1 in approach. So she's hitting great approach shots. She's cashing in a lot of those putts. And that approach play has had to be good because she is losing strokes off the tee. She's not been playing great off the tee. Been right around average, just barely losing strokes at minus 0.01, but she's 90th in strokes gained off the tee. And so with those, putting and approach numbers, she did win her first ever major championship, going for her second in a row, won the Chevron earlier this year. But I would think that she would have to be a little bit better off the tee. For somebody like Nelly Korda, who's sitting there just a couple of shots back, just a few shots back, 3 back, as she shot 67, the second best round of the tournament after we saw a bunch of 68s yesterday. Nobody has been able to match that 66 and 67 that Saigo and Korda shot this morning. Nelly has been fantastic off the tee. She's been great in her approach, and we talked about it a little bit with Steven. Her putting's been terrible. She's 6th off the tee, 5th in approach, 69th in putting. 69th in putting, just hasn't been able to cash in. And even though she made those 7 birdies today, she still had 3 putts. She 3-putted twice for her 2 bogeys en route to the 67 that she shot. If she's able to clean that up just a little bit, I think that we're going to see someone who is going to continue to ascend her way up the leaderboard in a major that she hasn't played her best. She's got 2 major championships at the Chevron and the KPMG Women's PGA, But at the U.S. Open, she hasn't played her best. Last year, made the 10 on the par 3 at Lancaster, and was didn't even make the cut last year, and was kind of ejected from that tournament early. So she finds herself in the thick of things, much to the pleasure of everybody, I think, who's at NBC and going to be broadcasting this weekend. Her name on top of that leaderboard, certainly going to draw, I think, a lot of interest. Lim Kim, somebody we talked a little bit about yesterday, who won the 2020 U.S. Women's Open at Champions Golf Club in Dallas. She finds herself in solo second right now, and it's just been steady throughout the course of the day. Even par on the front. She's currently playing the back and is on number 17 as she is waiting to tee off on the 17th hole. She's made 3 birdies and a bogey. So she's playing solid after shooting a 68 and being tied for the lead after day one, finding herself in second place solo. Has been playing just, again, solid golf as she looks for her second U.S. Women's Open. As, again, you take a look at what she's been able to do, it's been mostly with the approach play for her. As well. Not quite as good as Mao Saigo, but she has been 6th in strokes gained approach. The putting, it's been solid. Not spectacular, but she's 27th in putting right now. And around the green, she's been solid. So she has, again, off the tee, hasn't been the best, but she's making the best out of her round, certainly shooting on top of that leaderboard. And then there's Sarah Schmelzel, somebody that we were able to catch up with and talk with before the round started. So if you want to hear that interview that we had with Sarah, go back and listen to it through the Wisconsin On Demand app as we talked with Sarah on Tuesday here on the tee. And she's an interesting story in the world of women's professional golf because, again, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, with so many young players in the amateurs, and we'll touch on the AMs in just a little bit as they started to fall back a little on day number 2. But Sarah Schmelzel and Lauren Coughlin, 2 players who are in their 30s and were Solheim Cup rookies last year. Solheim Cup being the women's equivalent of what the Ryder Cup is on the men's side, if you're unfamiliar. But she has been playing some of her best golf. She's really been able to grow her career over the last handful of years. She's been absolutely spectacular. And Sarah, after missing the cut in 10 of the last 22 majors, top 10 in 2 of the last 4, including a finishing T6 at the Chevron Championship earlier this year. And she was a captain's pick for the Solheim Cup this last year, went 2-2 as a 30-year-old rookie. So she was really good in that, playing for Team USA, who won the Solheim Cup just last fall, and she was 2-2. Just lost out on her singles match as well. But she's been somebody who's been slowly been able to climb up and be someone who his career has improved as it's progressed. And you don't see that a ton in the women's game. She was in 2023, she was the 100th ranked player in the world in the women's game. She's now just outside the top 50 and has been playing some really solid golf again this year. She continues to climb up the leaderboard, and she shoots 4 under par today as she's in that group at 5 under, just 3 shots back of Mao Saigo. Some other names to keep an eye on as they come in. Maya Stark is in that group at 5 under. She was briefly in that group at 6 under par, but she made a bogey on 17. She's been 3 bogeys today, but has 6 birdies to kind of even that out and shoot a 3 under par round after shooting a 70 and 2 under yesterday. So she has to finish up on 18, where she's laid up and has about 134 yards left to that hole. Tricky pin location today on 18. I was sitting there for an hour or so today watching some of those wedge shots come in, and when you were able to push it up closer to 18 and have a little more of a pitch shot than a full wedge, saw a lot more players getting it close and making birdie that way. So Maya Stark trying to make a par, get in the house, and remain in that large group tied for 3rd at 5 under par. Lynn Grant putting together a great round of 63 today, and she's in that group at 4 under par along with Yalimi No, somebody we talked a little bit about yesterday, as No has really just been one of the more steady players throughout the day today. World number 18 as she made a birdie on 8, made a bogey on 15, and everything else has been a par. So that birdie on 8 was pretty big for her. That was her 17th hole. She's currently playing number 9, and actually just made a birdie on number 9. So Yelimi No able to rally and shoot a 1 under par 71 today to be in that group now at 5 under par. That list of players T3 at 5 under continues to grow. So what can we expect tomorrow as we kind of keep an eye on this? The projected cut right now, and that could still move, up or down with a lot of players still out on the course and a lot of players with a number of holes left. Linnea Strom right now out of Sweden is in that group on the right side of the cut at +1. But she's only through 12, so still has a handful of holes left on her day. So we'll right around 1 over par. That may or may not move throughout the rest of the day. But we're not going to be here and be able to give you the pairings for tomorrow. But just know that Mao Saigo, and who's going for a second straight major, Nelly Korda, Sarah Schmelzel, all going to be teeing off later in the day. Tomorrow, I would not be surprised if we saw the USGA be a little more creative, I guess, with some of the things that they can do with the golf course, especially with the wind down. What they did, and what I'm thinking in particular, I remember in 2017 when the Men's Open was here at Erin Hills, and they moved the tee up on number 15. Number 15 is my favorite hole out here. It is a short par 4, and they have a lot of different teeing grounds. They can move it up, they can move it back. The first 2 days playing around 350 yards, so was out there for just a little bit today and saw some ladies just hitting 3-woods off the tee and then wedging it onto the green. Still can be a very tough hole depending upon the pin location. It is a green that sits up and kind of slopes away on 2 different tiers. So it's a really great hole, especially if the tee box gets moved up. And they played it as a drivable par 4 in round 3 when Justin Thomas shot a 63 back in 2017 to set the course record here. So I would not be surprised tomorrow. Maybe they do it on Sunday, but at some point this weekend, I would think 15 would play as a drivable par 4. Even for the ladies. I mean, they've played with that hole forever. There's a story of when they moved it up back when they had the USAM here, and Patrick Cantlay, who's one of the better players on the men's side, was playing a match, and he just kind of got lost in terms of where they had moved the tee up to, tried to lay up off the tee with an 8-iron, dumped it into one of the pop bunkers they had, went on to make a bogey, and ended up losing his match because of him just not being able to figure out what to do because he was so close to that green off the tee box. So there's so many different options there, especially for the women. I think they can make that a really interesting hole tomorrow. If you're coming out, that would certainly be a hole I would want to go check out. I was out there for just a little bit today to watch some of the wedges come in on hole number 15. But that's something I think the USGA, now that they've gone through the cut process, the 156 player field is down to the top 60 in ties. I think we're going to see, maybe some different setup things that they can do that they get a little bit worried about. And I know there's one thing I do want to set straight before we wrap up here. Because pace of play at any level of golf right now is a huge talking point. And there was a picture yesterday that was circulating online that got taken a little bit out of context, I believe, of a player in Charlie Hull who is sitting on the 9th tee box waiting for Nelly Korda and Lexi Thompson to come to the 9th. And that wasn't a pace of play thing. She was just kind of getting away. She likes to sit and kind of wait. Pace of play, I don't think out here was too bad yesterday. People looking at, man, it was over 5 hours. If you're playing a decent round of golf and you're playing relatively fast out here, it's such a big piece of property. It takes about 5 hours to get around. So I don't think that was too big of an issue out here the first 2 days. But it's always, something. Pace of play is always something in the mind of the people at the USGA who are going to set these up, especially the first 2 days. Now that you're going to twosomes tomorrow and you only have 60 players that you have to get through the golf course, or 60 in ties that you have to get through the golf course, I think you can be a little bit more creative with some of those things, like shortening up 15, the par 4, and make that potentially a drivable par 4. So I think that because they have so many different teeing grounds and so many different options on so many holes out here, we can see some different things over the course of tomorrow to make this a little more interesting over the weekend. But it's been a great tournament so far. Again, Mao Saigo is leading at 8 under. Alim Kim, a U.S. Open winner. She is 6 under par in second place. Nelly Korda, Hanako Shibuno, Sarah Schmelzel, Maya Stark, Yulemi No, all now 5 under par as we head into the weekend. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you join us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. here on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube page and on 94.5 ESPN. We'll get you ready for the weekend in round 3 of the 80th U.S. Women's Open. Hear from Erin Hills. We'll do that tomorrow on the tee.